The next artist we'll talk about is, once again, a French artist, Adélaïde Labille-Guiard. Labille-Guiard was Lebrun's rival, as it was. She did not have the quick success that Vigée Lebrun did, and she didn't have the celebrity. She wasn't charming and young and beautiful and like Vigée Lebrun. She is a fabulous painter, however, and she worked extremely hard at it. This is just a huge, huge painting, and it's just beautifully painted. She became the court painter to the Mesdames. The Mesdames were the King of France's sisters. And so here you have Adélaïde of France. This is not the painter. This is the sister of the king, in a beautiful court painting. Just rich, rich garments. It's exquisitely painted. Elizabeth of France with her child. Here's the suggestion of being on a balcony, looking out into the blue of the sky and the blue of the garment with those little touches of red, sort of enlivening it. Very charming pose, too. She came from a pretty ordinary background. Her father was a haberdasher. Her training was by someone who lived in the neighborhood nearby, François-Élie Vincent, and he was a miniaturist painter. And she was painting with pastels, and then she went into oil paints. Unlike Rosalba Carrera, she didn't base her career on pastels. She became an oil painter. One of her very, very closest friends for her whole life was the son of her original mentor, François-André Vincent. And he is supposed to be the one who taught her oil painting and was a lifelong friend. And 3 years before her death, when she was older, she did marry him. I don't know why they didn't marry earlier. I don't know if it was the idea that a woman with a career shouldn't be married, or if there were some other reasons. But this is the son. This is François-André Vincent, and this is a portrait by him. Excuse me. This is a portrait of him by Labille-Guiard. So, she's showing him as a painter. She's, got him in his studio. Very once again. If you compare this to the way Reynolds had himself portrayed, this is someone who she knows very well, and that's a kind of intimate, I want to call it a family portrait, a friend portrait, eventually her husband. We mentioned that she became a member of the Royal Academy on the same day as Vigée Lebrun, and that the Academy decided to limit membership to 4 females, unlimited men, but only 4 women could be a member. This became a problem because there were 4, that's why they picked 4, there were 4 women members. Labille-Guiard really was committed to trying to get more women into the Royal Academy, to get their work accepted into the exhibition, into the salon, and she had a number of female painters, female artists whom she trained. This is very interesting portrait, self-portrait. It is her self-portrait with 2 of her students. It was exhibited at the Salon in 1785. And in the background, there is a bust of her father. There are antique casts. And of course, that's suggesting, of course, that classical knowledge, that she's continuing the tradition of antiquity, and as a skilled artist, the bust of her father is paying homage to her father, who allowed her to get the training. the gown is gorgeous. It's this beautiful, beautiful satin and blue with the very fashionable hat that we saw earlier. And of course, when an artist has themselves portrayed, they want to show them in their beautiful, best clothing, because today, you know, we have millionaires running around in blue jeans, which now have become super fashionable, but essentially were for mucking out the barn. And you can't just look at someone sometimes and know, you know, what their social status is or their economic status. But in the 18th century, it was very, very important to dress for your status. And this, of course, for centuries and centuries, was one of the ways that people who were from the middle class tried to be upwardly mobile. If they could dress well, if they were rich enough to do that. In her case, of course, she has to fit into the court. And the fashionable garb is saying, yes, she does fit into the court. Something has been said about this portrait, was that, you know, there were problems with women if they knew that a woman had painted something, of allowing them to exhibit. And it said that because this was, you know, exhibited in the salon, this was a way that the female students were able to get into the salon their portraits. It's that same problem we had talked about before, is the portrait rather than the artist. You know, they become you know, part of the artwork, when they undoubtedly would like to be the artist who has their artwork exhibited. But it does illustrate the idea that she was promoting female artists, and that she was proud of it. I don't have a color picture of this, but you see she does portraits of other artists. Here's the sculptor. And this is a very interesting portrait. It's the colors, you know, there are all these neutrals, browns and grays, and they stand out very well, though. But it's a really wonderfully done portrait. A great deal of character and wonderful, wonderful paintwork. This is in the Fogg Museum in Cambridge, and it's a portrait of Dubin Tournelle. And Dubin Tournelle was a very, very famous French actor of the time. One of the interesting things about this painting, and I tried to photograph it, but it was very hard because you're painting sort of a very dark, almost dark brown on dark brown. So I've kind of hyped it up so maybe you can see a little bit of it. There was a false signature that later was added to this painting of Jacques-Louis, J.L. David. So that for a long time this was a beautiful portrait by Jacques-Louis David, and then of course it was discovered that it was actually, the signature was false, and it was actually by Labille-Guiard. But I thought you might like to see some of the details of the Frida. She has this wonderful play because she can do things absolutely realistically, and then she can also have some very, very free brushwork within them that just livens it up, as the cravat here. And this I brought in, this is because it's in the National Museum of Women and the Arts, but because they think that it may be the Marquise de Lafayette, or we all know about Lafayette, the French aristocrat who helped the Americans win their independence. This would be his wife, if there is a question about it. But that's what the speculation is. And it's a fairly simple portrait. Once again, there's some wonderful brushwork going on here in the gray, possibly powdered hair, the free ostrich feather that's very feathery, and then just a little bit of lace at the top of the bodice.